Alright, Star Wars fans, come at me, because the Book of Boba Fett was pure garbage. But after looking at it, maybe there were a few things that I missed that real Star Wars fans didn't. So this time around, I brought somebody that knows a bit more about Star Wars than I do. So, Wavy, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
I brought you here because I know you're a huge Star Wars fan, and also you're a huge Tamora Morrison fan. So I want your opinion on what you think the Book of Boba Fett was like, as well as what you think of Tamora Morrison's performance.
Well, I kind of became a fan of Tamara Morrison just kind of within the Star Wars universe when I saw his portrayal in as Jango Fett in Episode 2. I think he portrayed that kind of like, galaxy-wide bounty hunter, assassinating people. I thought the way that he did it was really cool, and kind of the origin story for Boba Fett as well from there. So I think he did pretty well in terms of coming back as, I guess, the son character, right?
But it's really cool with the Book of Boba Fett. They kind of brought in all the other characters too that was from the Mandalorian before, like
Right.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that was a surprise appearance. I think there was a lot of surprise appearance I didn't expect. Like Luke coming in, they had a big portion of Luke and Grogu.
Yeah, but also one thing that really kind of threw me off though, like I felt the story actually got better when the other characters started coming in. So it became like the book of everybody except Boba Fett. Did you find that
definitely.
Was it a kind of
Definitely.
detraction from kind of like, did it rob away Tamara Morrison's star power?
I mean, I'd say a little bit, definitely. Like, especially when the Mandalorian came in, he kind of overtook the show on the 2 episodes. It became just more of, I think everyone else is saying it's the Mandalorian season 3 preview, right? I'd say it does suffer a little bit from that. I think Tamara Morrison still holds his own for what it's worth, right? But I think maybe that's more to leaning towards to the content that they wanted to show with the Book of Boba Fett. I think they had some concepts and ideas that were like cool, and they wanted to explore Boba Fett, but maybe it just wasn't fully fleshed out. And I think the other storylines were a little bit more concrete, so you were kind of more invested in it, especially when you're 2 seasons in to Mandalorian and Boba Fett kind of comes out for a really nice appearance in season 2, but you don't really have a whole lot to go on until you see him now.
I think it's funny. I saw a meme where it's like, Boba Fett had less than 1 minute of dialogue in episode 5. do you think this kind of felt like a cash grab then? Could Disney have maybe just put like a flashback of Boba Fett in Mandalorian season 3 instead of give him his whole show?
Well, I think it's a bit of a push and pull. I think there is some element there that I feel like they, with kind of riding the wave with Mandalorian, Boba Fett is another pseudo Mandalorian type of character, and they really wanted to get that going while the Mandalorian season 2 kind of finishes. I think there were some elements in there that people wanted to tell a story about Boba Fett, but then at the same time, I think maybe if they kind of just, I guess, baked it in the oven more per se, it would have been a little bit more fleshed out.
I don't think once Grogu came back, episode 6, everybody's just cheering for again. Like, we couldn't wait for Mandalorian season 3 now.
That's the one thing too. Like, I think, to be honest, one of the best episodes that I saw, like as a whole, were the 2 episodes about Mando and Grogu, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it almost felt like, was I watching Mandalorian season 3?
Yeah.
I feel like there were very important points into the story plot that, like, if you did not watch the Book of Boba Fett and then you come into the Mandalorian season 3, they were like, why is Mando and Grogu back together already, right?
Exactly. So it almost made it that you like Book of Boba Fett is part of that genre. It's not or it's that storyline. Like it cannot be independent. It's not its own Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
So I think the title was misleading in that sense. It's Mandalorian 2.5, right?
Yeah, it did definitely feel like that near the end. Like, I think it started off kind of strong with the flashbacks, although I felt like they were also a little drawn out, but at the same time I did like seeing how Boba Fett turned into how he is now.
Yeah.
But then after that, and the story kind of caught up with itself, and it's like, oh, we're ready for the big stand with all the gang members and syndicates.
Yeah.
oh, we still have a couple more episodes.
They definitely ran out of juice, I think.
Right.
Well, you definitely know Star Wars a lot more than I do. Like, you have read or seen some of the extra legend stuff and some of the backstory. Like, how do you feel this actually compares to the old comics of the day?
I think I'm just happy to see Tamara Morrison come back as Boba Fett and see that character again and more flushed out, right? You kind of have this imagery from the mainstream Star Wars universe with the movies. You're like, oh, this is cool, but bounty hunter, I want to see more of him, and you do get to see more of him. But maybe that expectation got really high compared to what you received. And I mean, I'm not going to dock the show for not trying, but I definitely from a fan perspective, I think it might not have hit exactly where it needs to go, but there's definitely room for improvement on that.
Like the Wookiee was from the comics as well, or the legend stuff, and then well, Cad Bane himself too. When he came out, everybody was like, "Oh, this is huge, right?" And me having never seen it, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, how is a big moment, right?
Definitely, I think those characters could have been executed better in terms of coming into the story. Like compared to like Mandalorian, like there's a lot of characters that come into play there that we haven't seen in live action, like all the Mandalorians that you see in
the sword maker and then
and well, those are the new characters too. But even like Bo-Katan, she's from the Clone Wars, and she's a very pivotal role in it. But it makes sense for Mandalorian to meet her and do all these things. Whereas in Book of Boba Fett, Cad Bane is also a big thing for Boba, but he only appears in like the last 2 episodes. I think for him to put a little bit more heavy weight into it and make a comparison versus his previous bounty hunter life to his family man, sheriff of the town feel, like I think Cad Bane should have been introduced much earlier on as a level of an antagonist, right?
Well, that's the interesting thing too. They never solved who the bad guy really was, like the syndicate, the 2JL thing. Like, I thought Cad Bane was the maybe owner of that, but he's not even, right? He's just a bounty hunter.
I think from what I understood, it was actually a bait and switch, right? It was actually the syndicate who killed his Tusken Raider family, and then they put that symbol, which was the biker gang in Tatooine. That's why he was so merciless against the biker gang when he went to the bar in that bar scene. And that bar scene was really good. That actually showed a lot of the ruthlessness of Boba. And then he straight out did an airstrike on them in one scene in the biker gang. But that was actually the syndicate. But back to your point, I do agree that the antagonists kept jumping back and forth. Before it used to be those twin cousins from Jabba. Then it was a Ren Syndicate, and then Cad Bane. I think a more cohesive antagonist would have been better, or at least maybe stick with one. And switch over to another with some kind of twist or anything. But it just felt like one came and one left. Another appeared. So
it totally threw the rhythm off, and not to mention that the first 4 episodes was already super slow. So I was like, where is this going? What's going to happen, right?
I think that's definitely one of the points there too. I think if they established what Boba really wanted, instead of maybe there's an element there that maybe Boba didn't actually know what he wanted throughout that time either, but it kind of suffered in terms of the pacing of the story, because at the time you also felt just as confused. You're not exactly quite sure what Boba means by I want to rule with respect, not fear. But I don't even know if it's respect anymore. It's more like I am the good guy sheriff in town.
Exactly, right? Oh man. Well, there's that too. Is like, now that we have the Book of Boba Fett and it's finished, as a whole series, you kind of have to watch it for episode 5 and 6 for Mandalorian season 3. But would you suggest for non-Star Wars active fans, but for ones who do like Mandalorian, should they just watch episode 5 and 6 and just skip the rest of Book of Boba Fett?
I mean, that's hard to say, because it's hard to recommend somebody to just don't worry about the rest of the season. Just watch these 2 episodes. It feels a little off, but I mean, you're not wrong in that sense either.
You can do it and you'll be just fine. You won't miss any of the
You just jump into season 3 and you're like, wait, I felt like there's some missing dots in there. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're still a fan of the Mandalorian, I think you'll still enjoy moments in the Book of Boba for what it is. But I don't know if it's the most crucial piece of information that you need to move forward with.
But for people who do decide to watch Book of Boba Fett as non-Star Wars fans, like, are they going to get enough of it to enjoy it? Especially when you look at the climax of it, even the final fight, built 4 episodes leading up to it, as well as episode 5 and 6, gathering the gang, getting Grogu back, and getting Mando here. It's like the final fight was kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I do agree. There's elements in that final finale where it felt underwhelming, right? Yeah. It felt like it was just a small little skirmish versus like a gang fight. There was some highlights in there. I just to give it credit, right? The scenes where Boba and Mando are fighting together, that was a really
back
cool
to back
kind of moment. Definitely it gave the previous Mandalorian vibes. But yeah, it kind of stumbled for the finale for me too. I agree. I think it did what it's worth. I think what it is. But in terms of recommending it to a non-Star Wars fan, maybe not so much, right? It doesn't have. It unfortunately doesn't have the charm and the adventurousness that the Mandalorian had, right? You were kind of, at least for me, I was very, I definitely wanted to see the next episode for Mandalorian and see, what he becomes, right? But
and to be fair to the Mandalorian had Grogu too, so like it was the only time I ever seen like non-Star Wars fans get so excited about something that
true, very true.
Really nerdy, right?
Grogu was definitely the cheat code to glued into the show.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with a little baby Yoda, right?
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up here with some final words. Where do you think this one ranks on the list of Star Wars shows? You count the Clone Wars, the cartoons, even the movies, if you want to rank it in there.
The movies. Well, it's gonna rank lower than The Mandalorian. I think in terms of the new Disney-oriented Star Wars shows, I would say it's kind of in the middle for me right now. The higher points are really like the Rogue One, Mandalorian. Those were higher up on the newer series, and the sequel trilogy is probably ranked lower than than the Book of Boba for different reasons. But yeah, I think it's right in the middle. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, go watch it. I think it's a good piece of content to get to bite yourself into. Maybe not so much as a non-Star Wars fan, but yeah. So it would go right in the middle for me.
Yeah, I'll say it's about the same too. As much Star Wars toys I have, like I actually don't know that much extended stuff or even like things that aren't in the movie.
For sure.
So all I have to know from Boba Fett is episode 4, 5, and 6.
5 and 6.
Yeah.
No,
and
he
then,
was not before.
So essentially, Boba Fett to me was just, he's a bounty hunter. How are you gonna make a full story about him?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I found this one is definitely slower paced, and I would have a lot of trouble trying to introduce someone who's not a Star Wars fan to this because they probably shut it off after 2 episodes, right?
I think if I would recommend it if for a non-Star Wars fan is you grab a Star Wars fan buddy.
Yes.
And watch it together and maybe fill in the gaps that that doesn't quite make sense. But yeah.
Exactly. That's why I brought you here, because I felt so weird trying to do this review by myself. I was like, there's probably something that I'm missing that someone who has more context of it would understand and enjoy it more than I would.
Fair enough.
But thank you, Wavy, for joining us. It's been such a pleasure. Always glad to have you, and hopefully you'll come back and join us sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good. All right, thank you very much. I'll catch you later.
Thank you.